So today we're going to be doing something a little bit weird. I'm going to test a puzzle for the Kagisho. Apparently no one other than the Kagisho has solved this puzzle ever. So let's see how this goes. But I haven't looked at the puzzle yet. The only thing I've been told is that this is the shape of the grid. 5 rows and 39 columns. Fill the grid with orthogonally connected, non-overlapping regions. Cells in a region each contain a number equal to the size of that region. No two regions of the same size may touch each other orthogonally. That's basically Philomeno rules. And then it says slither link, sort of. Draw a single closed loop through the grid. The loop may not pass through regions and must contain n total segments along the border of every region where n is the size of that respective region. An example puzzle here to demonstrate this idea. There's this 6 Philomeno here, and the red loop touches this 6 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times on the edge. For this red 2 region here, the loop touches it twice. For the 1, it only touches it once. For this 4, it touches it 4 times, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. These 2 2s in here, they can't, that can't be a 2. This cell cannot be 2 because then you would have a size 3 region with a 2 clue in it. So that's not going to happen. How are we going to indicate that these do not? Well, maybe we'll color them differently so that we know that they're not the same clue. Okay, what about these 2s? If this 2 comes here, then this one has to go in there, and then that would be a 1. So this 2 cannot come here. Well, this can't be a region of size 1, so that comes out to here, so that is a region of size 2. And this light gray here, that can't be a region of size 1 because then it would touch this 1. This cell has to be connected to the 3. If every region has to touch the loop. So all these 1 regions have to touch the loop. Let's think about that in the context of this clue. Because if this clue went like this, if the slithering thing goes like this, then it obviously can't go here and it can't go here. So it has to continue there, and it has to continue down here and around here. But if it continues around here, then it's touched this 3 clue 5 times already, which is way too many times. So what it can't do is that. What it can't do is that. It needs to not do that. So this is definitely not a line. We can add a little helper X there. What about this one? If that comes into here, it can't go out there, so it has to come around, and it has the same problem. So again, we can't do that. That's not an option. What are we supposed to do here? Well, if we draw that line, that's definitely going to be broken because then we have to come around the 2 like that, and that's already 3. So the loop can't come in here because then it can't get out. Okay, so that's an X, that's an X, and that's an X. So there's literally only 2 places this loop can go on this 2. So it has to go in those 2 places. That's the deduction we needed. Now that is not in the loop, and this loop has to continue this way. And it's either going to come here or it's going to come here. So it's definitely not going to come to there. So this can't be in the loop. This could come around here for sure, but it could also come out here. But the question is, if it does come out here, how does this 3 get 3 edges? The only way is if the 3 goes up and you take the maximal number of edges, 1, 2, and 3. Because if the 3 goes this way, then you can only get the top one and this side one here. If the loop comes this way down, the loop has to come this way, and this can't be a 3. Because if that was a 3, that would be 4 edges and not 3 edges. So the 3 would have to come up. So either way, no matter which way this loop goes, this is a 3. Very cute indeed. Either way, the loop comes around the 3 and the 1, and comes out here. And this gray region, which we don't know the size of yet, can't be 2, and it can't even be 3 size, because it's touching a 3 now. So it has to be at least 4 size. Well, obviously, the loop continues this way, because it can't go up and it can't go down. This loop touches this gray region 5 times. So this can't be a size 4 region. It needs to be at least a size 5 region. The loop can no longer go down, so it either continues here or it goes up. But if it went up, then the question is, what does this belong to? That's a really cute deduction. This is a really cool puzzle. This is a really cool genre. So this cell, what does that cell do? That cell is definitely of size 2 or larger, and it's definitely different from the gray region. Otherwise, this particular line would be coming through it, and we're not allowed to pass this slither length through regions. This yellow region is a new region, which means that this particular section is no longer allowed. So now we get, again, these x's on top and bottom, and we have to extend the loop one more. Very, very cute. And I've just realized that this is of size 2 and needs to extend, so we can write that in. I wonder, where does it get its... Yeah, where does it get its 2? Because if we come around this way, obviously we're picking up 1 here. We have to come all the way down to give this 3 enough edges. Notably, this can't be in. That little line segment would mean either that this has to come around here, totally impossible, or has to come around here, which is also impossible because that would mean this 1 has 2 edges on it. This line also doesn't work, so we can add a little helper as well there. Maybe the question that we should be asking is, can this be a 1? Well, if this is a 1, then we know that this is not an edge, so that would be the case. But now, how does this 2 clue get 2 edges on it? It doesn't. It can only get that edge. There's no other edge that it can get at all. So we could only get ever 1. So this cell right here, it's not going to be 1, it's going to be greater than 1. So now this can't come up, so it has to continue along there. This can't be of size 2, or of size 3. So this little yellow one is at least of size 4. I'm going to put at least in the centers of these things. Is this possible? No, absolutely not. This line right here means that either we have this scenario, which means this 3 is not getting allocated because then we'd have to branch the loop, or this is happening and then we'd have to branch the loop. So this little line here will never work. So that is also a little x. And now this 2 only has two edges that could even be edges. This now has to be an edge. This has nowhere else to go but there. This now has to be like that. Well, we know that this yellow cannot take this cell because then that would be cutting, this line would be cutting through it. So it has to take that cell, and that means that these edges have to continue. Well, at least this one does. We can draw that line, because if we drew that one, that would be a very, very small loop. So we have to do that in. Now again, this can't close. It can't close there either, because then this would be of length 3 and not of length 4. So this yellow needs to continue, and again, this edge needs to continue, and this can't go down, it can't go up, which would close a little tiny loop, so it has to continue again. This is ridiculous. Holy crap, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This yellow segment sees 8. It has 8 segments on it so far. So it's not minimum 4, it's minimum 8. And it just keeps growing, because as we extend this along the bottom, this continues to extend. So actually we're going to get up to 9 right away. This is already 9 because we're going to have to add another edge down here. This now sees 8 edges, so this is no longer minimum 5, that's minimum 8, which means we have to extend it. Oh, this is easier than I thought it was. Okay, go all the way back here. Back, here. Okay, before we went on this wild goose chase, there was a very easy deduction available. If this goes up, this is forced to be a 2, but now it sees 3 edges. So this does not go up, it continues, which means that this is not 8, it's at least 9, which means that it's not the same as this. This has to come down and has to come over, and now it's at least 10. This is getting really big now. This is at least 10. Oh, I thought they weren't going to get too big. Okay, so it's at least 10. This has to continue because it can't go down and it can't go up. This cell right here, it can't be a 1, it can't be a 2, but it's a new region. It can't be this yellow and it can't be anything else. So it needs to grow at least 3 cells. Oh, but now it sees, oh boy, it sees a lot of edges now. It sees 7 edges. So it definitely needs to continue growing, and we can put a little 7 in there. And now this can't go up, so it needs to continue. So this needs to continue because this isn't big enough. That's only 5 cells long. So this needs to continue growing. Oh my word. Okay, so, oh my word. This is 11. At least. It's probably bigger. This is insane. This is a crazy puzzle. You are insane, Cognisho. So this gray needs to extend. Oh, so now we extend this. And doesn't that grow the gray even more? This is ridiculous. I'm just counting edges all the time. So this is 8 edges, plus 1 is 9 already. This one, 12 now. Are these somehow magically going to be... Are these going to merge? Somehow? These two? No, that's way too big. But it could be... Yeah, it could merge because it could see a lot more edges. Oh my word, this is really weird. Okay, this is a silly puzzle. Well, this needs to be bigger. It's only 4 cells. I keep not understanding the implications of things that I immediately do, and I keep just repeating the same thing over and over again and not understanding the implications. We need to expand those. So whenever we move this out 1, we add 2 to this cell. Okay, let's remember that. So we don't have to do this a million times. This 8 is really important. If I took all of these cells, that's only 7 cells, so I need to take at least that cell. So even if this 8 took all of those cells, it would need to get out of here. That pushes everything. It just pushes it. It continues. So this needs to come out 2 more. It needs to take at least 1 more cell, but it's going to grow in terms of the edges, because this has to come out. So this has to come out, and the blue has to grow, and grow again. And the yellow, it has to grow. This is ridiculous. This puzzle's insane. Okay, wait, this is a 5. So the 12 can't take the 5. This is crazy. The 12 can't take the 5. So this has to come up, but that traps the 8. That traps the 8 into this space, because that's 8. Oh my word. This can't come in here because that would need to do this, which would be 3, not 1. It can't come here because then if it did that, then there's no fulfilling this 1 at all. That has to do this, which means it has to turn out because I can't go into the dead end again. There's no way that this gray is not taking this cell. There is absolutely no way that the gray will fit over here with this absurd number of edges. I don't even know how many edges it has now, but it's just ridiculous. So the 8 is actually miraculously satisfied. It has 8 edges and it is size 8. This 1 is satisfied. We've now reached a size of 12, but we've picked up many edges by doing that. We've picked up 19 edges and probably more. So we're of size 12 right now. So if we just took these 2 cells, well, first of all, we'd be adding 2 edges to the thing, at least, which would bring us to 21, and we would only be at 14. So we're going to have to come at least to here. So the gray comes out to here at least. That we know. And we need to extend these 5s. It needs to go at least to there, because even if it took that cell, it needs at least 1 more cell out here now. This 5 is definitely not blue, and it's definitely not gray. So it continues. That's 16. We need to extend that 1 more. At least 2 more, actually. This 5 needs to come out. The 5 needs to come out again. This 5 also needs to come out. And the gray needs to extend, doesn't it? 18. Let's count again. This has just been counting simulator. Oh my word, 21. Okay. 21 seems reasonable. Yeah, okay. Blue needs to extend, which finishes the 5. Which means yellow has to extend, which means blue has to extend. Yellow has to continue. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So this continues along here. This continues along here. Do we even have enough cells in the grid? Either gray or this 5 needs to take this because it can't be of one size. Oh, but if the pink takes this, look what happens. We do that. We can't come through this pink, so that would be 6. 6. Not 5, 6. So actually, we need to extend gray into here. We need to extend the pink, and the pink is done. And if this comes down here and comes across, that's also 6. So it doesn't come down there and come across, it comes across like this. It's the same with this. If we come up here and come across, that will be 6, so we have to just take those cells, which increases this blue just a ton more, you know, just keep going, right? We actually need to do that because we can't come up here. This is weird now. These ones are kind of... Is this gray going to meet this gray? That would be hilarious. So the gray is now, I think, 21. I guess I'll count it again. It is 21. Wait a second. This cell is not a part of the 5, and it can't be 1. So this needs to come at least to here. But now gray is 18. So gray does come into this cell. which means that it comes into that cell. And the same with this cell as well. 18 plus another 3, okay, so that would be 21. But we've now added these 2 edges. We've added 2 more. Okay, so 23, okay. So that means we need to extend it more. So we have to continue these both, which means this has to continue. 23 now. So if we can just keep this gray away from any edges, we can finally end it. Okay, so these need to continue because they can't go on the ones. If this 2 comes up, it's touching this other 2. It can't join with the 5. This cell, if it joins with this cell, oh, wait, no, then this could be gray. Wait, but could it go down? Because if it goes down, it's now sort of cut off blue. So blue has to come up here, whether it's blue that comes up into this cell or it's the red, this cell, which can't be a 1, needs to join with the cell above it. And I think we can continue this yellowing, but oh, this is really draining because it just keeps doing. There's too many things to do. So we're gonna have 17 when we extend it one more. This is the number of cells we have, and this is the number of edges we have. I think we have more than 27 edges now. Okay, so 34. 34 plus 1 is 35. Oh my word. Okay, so this is 15 cells. We want to put that in the next cell. 15 cells, and that's 30 edges for 15 cells. We need to get this to 30 and this to 35. The fact that this is as low as 24 with the massive size that it is just ridiculously stupid. So then if the blue comes up here, then it has to get out because it needs at least 30 cells. 30 cells, so it needs to get out because it only is 15, and that would mean 18 right there, so it needs to get out again. But that means that this line has to come up, which adds 2 more, at least, edges onto here, which means this is 26. Now, it was balanced when we had this situation, but adding these 2 edges means we need 2 more cells. But adding those 2 cells means that we have at least 2 more edges. So, in fact, the blue does not come up. We know now that the blue continues going straight like it always has. And this 5 should probably get its own color now. Oh, this blue needs to come out, of course, so the 5 needs to come up. That is actually not a line because that would mean that it has to come out there, and that would be, this would be 2 cells along the, or 2 edges along the 1. So that has to come up. And it can't come this way because that would be, again, 2 edges along 1, so it has to come that way. So this cell over here is not blue, but this cell must be blue. This should be 35. This is like accounting, puzzles accounting. If this comes up here, the gray automatically needs another cell, but every cell that it takes is going to require exponentially more cells because we're going to add more edges onto it. So I feel like this coming up here is not going to work at all. It needs to take one of these 2 cells, but either one it does take will increase its count by another 1. So then it would need to take another cell. But that cell would also increase its count by another 1. So then it would need to take all the cells, but then it could never make up for that. So actually, I don't think coming up here is possible. We're never going to get a cell which touches no edges in any of these 4 cells. So this has to come down here. It can't come up here because that's already 2. So that has to come over here. It has to come all the way up here. So this 5 has 3 on the edge right now. It needs to get 5. And it needs to get 5 cells as well. If it took these 3 cells, the 2 would take that cell. I don't see how this gets 5 because we're only getting 1 from that. If this is a 2, then we have to do this. We can't go down here. That's 3 on the edge of a 2. So this has to be a 5, which means that this has to be a 2, which means that this cell has to be gray. And now gray is 25 cells and 25 edges because this only added 1 edge and 1 cell. This has to come over here because this needs to get 2. So the 5 only gets 1 more edge. By taking gray in this cell, I'm adding 1 to the cells, but I'm not adding 1 to the edges. So I can't actually take any more cells in gray, it's done. It's done. I hope that's actually 25 cells. If it's not, I'm gonna cry. Blue has to come up. This has to close. This is the only way it gets another edge. Blue definitely has to continue. I'm not even gonna count. It definitely has to continue. This 4 needs to take that cell at least. Oh, now yellow is trapped by this 4. So yellow also has to continue. Now this edge does not work because then we would have to continue along there. So we actually have to do that. We have to do that. If this was in, what would this pink cell be? The only thing it would be was a 1. But it can't be a 1 because of many, many reasons. So it's definitely not like that. This has to come up here. And around this, of course now pink is 4, because it can't be anything else. If that is pink, that's definitely not right, because then the loop has to come down here, and that's 6. So the 4 is going to finish like that, and this can't come up because that's definitely, these two numbers are not equal. So this has to continue, which means that this 1 has no more edges on it. We can remove that. This blue has to, of course, continue, as we just said. Okay, we really need to get the blue and the yellow away from freaking edges so that we can actually get towards the totals we're going towards. Because if we just keep adding an edge on every time we add a cell on, we're definitely not going to get the right number. I'm really worried we're not going to get the right number. 9 plus 23 is not going to be 40. So this has to come through here. Even if we took all these cells in here, that's not enough. So this has to come through here. This 3 has to take at least that cell. If the line goes up here and then goes across, it's going to be 4 at least. The point is that when we come along these edges, we have to take at least 3, so we have to take one of the edges, the top one or the bottom one. No matter which cell this takes, whether it's that one or that one, we're always bringing this edge all the way to there. This is a very interesting rule set in the fact that you can do weird things like that. Say things about these interactions that is totally unexpected. We can add in these x's because we know that this line is either going to come down, which will fulfill this one, or come that way, which will fulfill the one. This part is actually interesting. This part of the grid with this little wall here. Wait, this is a wall. Only one thing can get through this wall. Either yellow or blue can get through here, but the other one cannot. But how many cells are over here? There's tons of cells over here. This is big. This is really big. Okay. So let's think. If we cut the grid, if we say this is brown, if we cut the grid like that, how many cells do yellow and blue have? Not counting these ones now. So let's subtract off from our 59. So we had 59 before. Over here, apparently we have 35 blank cells. How many did we need for the minimum number of cells for blue and yellow? It was 31. Okay, so if we did this, we would have 4 cells. No, not even. We would have 3 cells because the 3 needs one of the cells. We would have 3 cells to get these 9s, one, connected to each other in a 9-cell region, or connected to a 9-cell region which is over here. Well, I cannot even reach a 9-cell region over here without 3 cells, which would mean that each of these 9s would be individual 9-cell regions, which doesn't work. So I can never reach one of these ones. So in fact, I need to connect these 4 9s in a 9-cell region with 3 cells. I need at least 4 cells to connect them all together. So that is by default, not true. So we know that this cell This cell must be either blue or yellow, because we cannot keep them out of here. It's just not enough space. This is either blue or yellow. But let's consider the case where yellow gets this one. If we pack this as tight as possible, this, and then blue has very little space up here. I don't even think blue could finish. So it has 27 right now. So it needs 18 cells. So that's only 12 cells. That's not 18 cells. And have we packed this in as much as we could? Yeah, I mean, sort of, because if we did that, the 9 would be, this 9 would be stranded. So we can't go beneath this 9 because then we're trapping that 9, so we have to go above it. This is the most packed it gets then. So blue is the one that takes the top here. I can't even say that this is necessarily blue. I can guess that it probably is, but I can't say that because the math was just 1 off. Okay, we're almost done this, I think. I hope. I pray. I'm really relying on the counts of these being correct. This is going to take 9 of those. I allege that this cell must be yellow. Because if it's not yellow, we're tasked with finding 10 cells over here, which is impossible. So that is yellow. Now we know that this has to connect over here. So that is brown. These have to be blue in order to get over to this one. This has to be the most efficient path. So this could take that. No, it can't do that, because that would mean that this is a 1 cell. So that it could do that, or it could do that. Maybe I'll ask Kagisho if I've done something wrong. Okay, Kagisho got back to me. He said that this cell right here is not correct. Okay, Kagisho says that my count of 47 and 31 are way off. So let's count these again. Okay, Kagisho has said that apparently my count for blue is completely wrong, and I need 21 cells in blue that touch no edges. And I'm pretty sure that's the only 21 cells. Plus this one, which can touch no edges. This one might look like it can not touch an edge, but then you realize that this will have to come up or around it, which will create many more edges. So in fact, this cell is already touching an edge in a way. And I'm just going to trust him that it's 21. I don't really want to count it, to be honest. And apparently for yellow, it's 19. So we currently have 15 cells right now that don't touch any edges. So we need 4 more, apparently. Oh, this is definitely blue. And that's okay, because it cancels itself out. So I can see that we could get 4 more cells in yellow that don't touch any edges. Oh wait, these 2 cells right here are going to touch edges. So I can actually only see 5 more cells in yellow that I could take that don't touch edges. So one of these 2 cells will be in yellow, which means that the 9 cannot come down in here like that. It has to go up there like that, which means that these 2 have to be yellow. Ah, of course. This actually does have to be a 9, because if that was a 2, if this came out like that, then this red thing would have to come around like that. This would have no value. Oh, no, it would have no value, because it can't be yellow, because then that would add 2 more edges in. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Then you'd have to have another one that was no edges. So the 2 has to come down, actually, weirdly, miraculously. This edge will have to come all the way down, making the loop complete. It's a ridiculous puzzle. And I believe this has to be the pattern of 9s, and the yellow probably finishes like that. It is the correct solution. Okay, perfect. That took way longer than I expected.